So what's going on in the ashes in the ashtray?
In the ashtray. That's a funny one. I think you should get some points for that.
Welcome to Disparate Worlds, where an irresistible force meets an immovable object. I'm Mox, and this is Sechari, and we are comparing and contrasting the worlds of Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen, and Ashes of Creation.
I hope we are. We are back. Hello to you, friends. Good to have you here. Welcome to episode 23, where we are now back in the saddle.
Yeah, I kind of thought maybe we should just rename ourselves to Disparate Worlds, better late than never.
Right. Or I think maybe we're living up to the Desperate World's name. I don't know.
Maybe a little bit. But yeah, real world does get in the way sometimes. So, you know, there was that slight delay in episode 22. But it's out there.
Right.
Go check it out if you haven't. We would love to have the views and comments and likes and subscribes and all that happy stuff.
Yes. So here, I didn't plan to throw this in, but let me do this anyway, just spur of the moment.
Yes.
Mox, when was the last time you remember we did our weekly Dungeons and Dragons on Sunday night?
Well, there were some serious things that went on there, so that's
it's been months.
Yeah. that it's been weekly, like for more than 2 weeks in a row. So yes, that's true.
Yeah,
but yes, it's
just. So yes, we are back. Thank you guys for joining us. Always appreciate you guys being here. That said, do the like and subscribe thing, please. Bail us out. Help us reestablish our momentum. How about that? This episode, we are going to do our review of the Chi View.
Yes, the monk has been unveiled.
All right, the monk, baby. Yeah, it's going to be great. So we're going to chat about that in Pantheon. Very cool. Yep. First, the news.
I guess we'll start off with Pantheon news, since we have some. June 29th, the June producer's letter came out, which more or less, and I believe that Joppa referred to them pretty much as just like kind of living patch notes. You know, just kind of highlighted, you know, they kind of went over like where they are in the alpha, like their alpha roadmap, and kind of like he kind of touched a little bit on the monk stuff, and there's some animation stuff mentioned in there, and a few other things. So it's a good read. So definitely, if you have not checked that out, check it out. And then just a few days ago, the live stream with the monk preview, which was fantastic. That's going to be the meat of our discussion
and
today.
The potatoes.
Yeah, and the potatoes.
And the potatoes. Yeah. Don't forget that it matters.
It does matter. And that had several people. Joppa was on there, and Adam Mostel, known as Tehom, and Kyle Olson, who we mentioned in the last episode where we had some Pantheon stuff, and Tyler Sacred Stokes was on there as well. All of them talking about the monk and everything, kind of leading up to that big unveiling of what was going on there. And there's also some other things that were in there which we need to mention when we get to the meat of the potatoes of the episode.
Thank you.
And then lastly, in Pantheon news, the June Developer Roundtable is out. You can definitely check that out. It had the QA lead Kim Morrison and QA tester Mark Maraglino was on there as well. So definitely, if you haven't, check those out as well. If you want to kind of know how what they're looking at for in the testing world and the quality assurance world, check that out. So what's going on in the ashes and the ashtray?
In the ashtray. That's a funny one. I think you should get some points for that. I don't know if we're keeping points, but anyway. So, Ashes news, definitely. Let's see. June 25th, we had the development update, of course. It was interesting. Some edgelord outfits. They all kind of mix and matched the different outfits that, are cosmetics that they'd been coming out with for months. So, it was interesting from that perspective. It was really more just like discussion about tab targeting and reticle mode, the way that you can switch between the two. and the skills that pertain to both of those. So that was showcased in that as well.
Yeah.
And they had Michael Bacon on, lead environment artist. So that was cool. Lots of comments about bacon. Who loves bacon?
Right, of course. Yeah.
Bacon.
Speaking of bacon, I wish that their development updates had a little bit more meat to them. It seems like there's a lot of cool stuff on there, like art wise and environment wise.
All you get is the potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. You only get the potatoes. I want a little bit more meat, guys. Come on.
Right.
Steven.
So, okay, you have to define that, though. What do you mean by meat?
Like, I want to see, like
technical details?
Yeah, like technical details, character-specific stuff. And again, this could be a symptom of us coming kind of a little bit late to the party, that maybe this stuff's already been, like, kind of revealed. But, like, things have to be changing. Like, things have to be updating. Like, give us, like, a little bit more substance. So, that's all.
Yeah.
Just a little comment.
Kind of a peek behind the scenes, I think, is good. A lot of times they're showing us, I think, the finished product. Here's what our environments look like, and here's, how nice and polished everything is.
Right.
Sometimes you want to know, okay, hey, how are you coding things? I don't know.
Right.
For the tech geeks.
We know your mounts are cool, guys. Like you've shown that.
Right.
like okay, let's see more stuff. More like yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Well, we will revisit, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No doubt. So, next on the list, June 28th, was Margaret Crone's appearance on the Ashes let me try to get this right. Pathfinders podcast. Episode number 132 called Represent. So that was cool. Go check that out. July 5th, an update to account policy actions.
Yes, don't share your account.
Posted.
It's like plain and simple. Like that's standard MMO like thing. Like you don't like you can't like you can buy the game for somebody else, but it's their account. Like you know, like you can't share an account with your cousin or your brother or whatever.
Right. July 7th, they went live. Now this is yesterday as of this recording with the Zenith's Advent cosmetic set. Usually we do a quick review.
It's
Zenith,
isn't it?
Zenith, I don't know.
This is America, sir.
I'm so used to saying Z instead of Z.
You are.
Because I grew up.
That's okay.
Over the ocean.
Over the pond.
So what do you think?
I want a flower hat like the duckling has. That's my goal in Ashes.
I think she would look good in a flower hat,
I think
sir.
my character would look great. And then you have the ovary bag.
The ovary bag. Okay, so it's a bulb. Let me make sure I got this right. The bulb bag.
Yeah.
I guess it's made out of a flower bulb. It looks to me like if you get too close to that bag, there's an alien face hugger that'll jump out on you.
Right.
And will proceed to make out with you, I suppose.
Maybe. And then you got that cool little ship that's kind of neat. Although it does not look very battle worthy. Like that kind of looks like you're taking your lady out for like a picnic on the lake. Yeah. Like not like I'm going out to like ravage another ship out there. Like.
I don't know. Like maybe that's the whole idea with it, is that you look very innocent, but you're not.
It could be, yes. The armors is neat. I like the armor. I know you did.
Yeah, I really like the armor. In fact, I'm going to get it. Like I decided, that, and I think the freehold skin there looked great. I'm going to get both.
The
of those.
hovel. I think I called it like the something hovel. Yeah.
And then the mounts.
Yeah, you found your favorite mount, right?
Right. If you're gonna wear a chicken hat, you might as well ride a chicken mount.
There you go. The chicken mount. It's funny. It's different. It's different than and I have to say, like their mounts are not like the same. Like when we play SWTOR, like there are very even mounts that are different still to some degree. Some of them, and they're speeders in that game, but they still for the most part are looking like the same. Whereas animal mounts, I think that you have definitely have an advantage for variety with animal mounts.
Yeah. There's a variety of sizes, and that's what I think in the testing has struck me so much about the mounts, is that the size comparison of some of them are really little. Also like the way that some mounts are aquatic, right? The whole point of it is it moves in water and not so well on land.
Okay.
They all have their own stats, they all have their own hit points and things as well. So they, you know, it's not, mounts have been really fleshed out as a concept in Ashes.
So you really need to have probably like 2 or 3 kinds of different mounts at your like on your utility belt, so to speak.
Yes, absolutely. By the way, it's called the Crested Sun Plume.
Yes, and it definitely is crested for sure. Like, it's got some flock of seagulls hair going on. Am I dating myself there?
Probably. Yes. In fact, yes, you are. I need to make sure I take my jabs where I can get them. Okay.
Hey, speaking of dating people, happy birthday, Stephen Sharif.
Yes. Although I think we're both older than he is.
I think so.
I think he's just turned 36. So happy 36th, Stephen. Yes, absolutely. His birthday's today. We're recording this on the 8th.
Yes.
So, you know, happy birthday to him. And he showed up on his birthday to get interviewed by Asmongold and Rich Campbell on the Allcraft live stream today. I watched that. That was great. That was every bit as good as the AMA, the MMORPG Reddit AMA. Very good. If you are new to this whole scene, that's a great place to start to kind of get up to speed.
Excellent.
So, recommended, yes. And then tomorrow, sir.
Now, I have a question for you. Is it like tomorrow as in 50 minutes from now, since it's like, or I guess for West Coast time, like 2 hours and 50 minutes from now, or is it like like midnight?
Because we record this late, right? It's 11:08 on my Central Time, on my time right now. So yes, the date will switch, and then it'll be today, sir. But
does it go live at midnight? Like
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Honestly, usually they communicate, hey, you know, the servers are now live. This is the server we need you all to be on, all that kind of stuff. And people just do as they need to.
Right.
I know it starts, and I think it starts early. And it'll be on all weekend, this whole preview weekend. Cool. So the NDA lifts. We can live stream this, and you better believe I will be doing so.
Now, is this going to interfere with your editing duties?
Yes. Don't be surprised if you see this episode like a month from now.
You know, set the expectations
and I'll be like, I'm so
out
busy.
a month, and then when it comes out next week, everybody will be like super pleased.
Yes.
So yeah.
No. I need to get my button here and actually get these things out the door, and I can't use that as an excuse. So I'm gonna have to split my time.
I'm excited. I can't wait to watch you play, man.
Yeah.
You know, like, and criticize like the hair that you choose, and you know why are you doing that?
You better believe. Like, it's going to be glorious. There's a reason they use the word glorious in Ashes so much, and that's the reason.
Okay.
So, just in case anybody wants to join me, twitch.tv/Sechari, you can find me there. When I'm online, I'll just be streaming that. It'll be great, just kind of casually over the next weekend. And then I think there's 2 or 3 days next week that the servers are off again. And I think Thursday or Friday things go live again, and then it's live for the month. So we will communicate. And I will communicate as well.
And you're gonna be like after the next week, it's like Monday to Friday, like 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. with some food breaks, right?
Right. Well, I'm not next week. I'm working next week, but I took the week after that off. And yes, you better believe. I mean, I'm gonna do it stream it like a job.
Yeah,
baby. It's gonna be great.
All right, cool.
All right.
You're gonna duct tape your kids to the ceiling and stuff.
Oh, I don't doubt that they will bust in the door, but live streams aren't as professional.
All right, good deal.
My live streams are not as professional as our YouTube channel, so I'm sure the kids will make an appearance. Yeah, I know, right? I'm trying to hold up a high standard for myself to deliver. So that's the news.
So we were blessed with a live stream that previewed a new class in Pantheon, the Monk, and they kind of went over all like the basics of it. And there's still only one major issue I have with it, and when we get to it, I'll talk about it. You know, we've mentioned it on this channel before, so if you're a longtime fan of the show, you should know what my issue is. But you can ponder that till we get to it. But yeah, it went over the features, the versatility of the Monk, like as a puller, as an off tank, as kind of the filling in those roles. And I thought that they did good. Joppa he said that he played around with it. He picked his abilities, and he was showcasing certain things, but he said he still picked stuff that kind of made sense to him. And I like that there's, like, he said there's no given rotation, that monks are more of a play by feel class, and I kind of like that. Like,
yeah, so I kind of have had a beef with rotations for a long time, actually. I mean, like, I don't mind if one skill that you hit will put a debuff, and then another one takes advantage of that debuff to make, another debuff or something, right? Something like that. I don't mind those skill pairings or those synergies. In fact, I really like that idea. But when you have like 8 skills on your bar, and the idea is I start at 1 and I go 2, 3, 4, 5, because they all just chain together that well, and that's my rotation. Right.
Or their cooldowns like kind of mesh so that they're coming available at that certain time when you're going to click them. Yeah.
Right. At that point, you're playing a script. You might as well just code it, right? Just automate it in some way.
Right.
So, I like it when there are things that are happening around you that require that are disruptive to your rotation. Right. The chain
or
of
that
skills
require you to react. Like, oh, I need to parry because something's coming in, or I need to block or whatever. Yeah, I agree.
Yes, and the monk it looked like it was good. It looked like he was playing more. Now, there's definitely things. I mean, there are those things because what was it called? The gates, right? He called them gates.
Yes. This all comes from monk and kung fu lore and things like that, like chakra gates and things like that. So, like, this is all like kind of based in fantasy and I guess martial arts lore, history and such.
Right.
So yeah, you have you trigger a gate to open, and then you take advantage of that being open, and you only have a limited window to do that.
Yes, it looked to me like all of the monk skills are aligned with whichever gate, right? So you have the gate, the ones I heard of, the gate of balance, soul, release. There's certain ones, and then all of the skills are and it looked to me like certain ones open and trigger that gate, and then other ones, for the duration of while that gate is open, that's when you're able to do them.
Right. You have 5 seconds.
I don't know if all of them. Yeah, you have a 5-second, but I don't know if all of them would trigger that gate being open. I wasn't able to ascertain that from watching. So
I think certain abilities will open a gate, and then certain abilities are usable once the gate has been opened. Is the way I understood that. With the exception of the chained abilities, or the ones that kind of work together. Like you had the setting sun ability, which then turned into the rising moon ability. So it kind of transformed from one ability to another. Each one serving its own purpose, but they work together. Joppa referred to it as 2 sides of the same coin.
Yes, and I really like that idea that you trigger the skill and you just absorb damage, and you've got to pre-calculate that you can absorb the damage, because all damage mitigation, right? Any kind of dodge, any kind of parry, none of that counts for the duration. Right. However long it is that the setting sun is setting, you are taking all of that damage.
Totally vulnerable.
So you may want to warn your healers, right? Hey, I mean, I'm a little bit more squishy than usual, but it stores up all of that energy, and then you have it to use at your disposal. When you do the rising moon, which you trigger, then it challenge, it channels all of that. I don't know if it was a defensive buffs or increased damage.
Yeah, I think it was defensive and healing, I think, is what it was. Wasn't it the one that did, all the damage you took then went into over-healing you?
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, you got 50% of the damage taken during the setting sun becomes additional max health. Yeah. Right, so it's like if you're 100 now, you've got 125 or whatever, right? And your max health goes up, and 50% of it then goes to your armor class. So I think you have that then, that you can in the time that you do need to off tank, you've got that you can use. Now,
speaking, you said that you had to warn your healers that this was happening. Did you catch that they are going to be supporting social macros?
Yes.
So that means
social
that you can,
macros.
right? But a social macro can be used in
yeah.
grouping. This was an old EverQuest thing. You'd have a macro that would say, you know, I am, you know, let's say for example, I'm triggering my Setting Sun ability. I will be vulnerable for X amount of seconds, and then it, like, you click that, and it sent that to the raid, and then it triggered the ability.
Yeah, so you can macro it if you want.
That's
so that way
exactly.
you automate it, and then you don't have to think about
exactly.
it.
So that, and then you let it know. What we did in EverQuest was we used it for healing rotation. You'd set up like a healing channel that just your healers for a raid would be in, and then you'd actually had a rotation of healers that would, because your big heals had a long cooldown. So you'd have healer 1 would cast it, and then their macro would count 10 seconds, and then it would say, you know, now it's your turn, Mox, to cast, and then I would cast mine and send off the message to the next person, and next person. Yeah. So you'd have this chain of people, and you know, so that way everybody, you know, kind of knew what to do and when to do it. Yeah, so I love the fact that they're going to have social macros. It makes for role playing, you know, possibilities. It makes for communication, clear communication of what's going on and why, or you know. And it's going to be a learning process, because not everybody's going to know what abilities do the Dire Lord have, what abilities do the Monk have, what abilities does the Shaman have. But so you can educate your groups as you kind of go along. It's cool stuff.
Right.
So we got chi. Oh yeah, and I like the fact that monks always are regenerating their chi. 5 chi per second, always.
Well, so I was watching that. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, because that's their combat resource, right? They're always regenerating and this is not anything new that we've seen in MMOs, right? Again, we come from Star Wars: The Old Republic, and we've seen force casters that are always just regenerating. You know, so that's not new, but it looked to me almost like a global cooldown kind of mechanic, because he was able to use a skill, but then he would have to use the automated, you know, attacks so that it would regenerate. So then he would have enough then to hit the next one. So I think they can gate or it's like almost an action per minute regulation, right?
Yeah.
On how often you can use your skills based on the regeneration of that.
Right, and that totally makes sense. And there were some abilities that would automatically fill up his chi right away. He had one ability that would do that. Again, I forget the name of it. Let's see if we have it in our notes here. Inner Fountain.
Is it Inner Fountain?
Yeah. And it also cleared all the gates. It closed all the gates. So you get all your chi back and closes all the gates, so that and think about that. The reason it closes all the gates is so that you can't drop just a big ability. You have to enter the base ability, open the gate, then do the big ability. So,
well, and I like that they put that skill in there, because if you are doing some kind of a damage dealing, you know, gate, right, and you're just dishing out the DPS, and something happens in the team, and now suddenly you need an off tank, or it gives you the versatility to be able to just drop what you're doing and pick something else up.
And reset, kind of, yeah.
And reset, right? Yeah. So granted, there'll be more uses for it. You know, if you, I don't know all of the ins and outs. There's going to be more times that it'll be useful, but I just like it gives you the versatility to switch between one gate and another very quickly. Yeah, it was very cool.
And then we had we saw the charged abilities, which I think we'll see in a lot of classes, to be honest with you, because even Joppa mentioned that the charged ability could be used for backstabbing. We saw it for the Blazing Hand Punch, where, you know, if it charged all the way up and hit, it did a knockdown. So there was
up to 400, you know, % damage as well,
exactly.
Like a baseline.
So, another thing they mentioned was the time to kill. They're being very cognizant to have a substantial time to kill. They don't want to have people pulling 10 things and killing them in 4 seconds. And they were loath to say it, but you do in World of Warcraft. I'll say it. That's...
Yeah, we'll say it for them. Yeah, absolutely. You just AoE everything down. Just blast your way through it. Now, okay, so I think there's a happy medium, and this is a thing that kind of has bothered me a little bit about Pantheon in the time that you and I have been doing this show, is that you've got 4 or 5 different people fighting one NPC, right? Because 2 of them becomes very dangerous. Right. In fact, they showed it during this, they wanted to pull one at a time, and he was able to feign death when he pulled them both.
Yeah,
because he didn't want to take them on at the same time, because you know, the way there was a pack hunter type of mentality, and there was a buff. You know, I think maybe like an attack speed buff they get if they're within a certain, you know, distance from each other.
Right.
That's very cool, and yes, you do have to do that. But I don't want to see a game where the ideal way to do this is to pull one mob at a time, and in a group of 4 or 5 people fights it, and then you pull the next mob, and a group of 4 or 5 people fights it. Those they're you know, and they're going to do groups. I mean, there's going to be, you know, complicated. They've already said that they've, in fact, last stream they showed it.
Right.
But I just don't want that to be like the vast how the player base believes you have to handle every encounter is just isolate them one at a time and
okay, so you're coming from a different world. Like, if you look back at if you saw like an EverQuest live stream now, like, I know it's hard to do now, but you saw one,
right?
You know, you went into a dungeon, and you'd come to a room or a couple rooms that were together, and then they would call that a camp. Okay, and then you would set up like in a hallway or whatever, and then the idea would be to break the spawn. And by breaking the spawn, you want to get it so that you kill one, then you kill the next one, you kill the next one, and then you do it in such a way that by the time you kind of get through, let's say, 2 rooms or 3 rooms worth of mobs, the first mob in room 1 is back up. So then you change.
Yes, you have to fight your way out, just like you fought your way in.
No, not fight your way out. No, this is a camp. Like, you stay there and you fight this group of 10
you're
mobs.
farming them.
You farm those, and maybe you're farming for a rare mob, like that spawns in one of these 3 rooms. So the idea being that you break it, and then you're pulling one at a time, so that you have a rhythm, so that you're not like having downtime. I think what, you know, if we're having if you have like a big pull where you have like 3 mobs and you have to stun them and mesmerize them and all that. And that's fine, you could do that, but, you know, like you said, if they have pack mentality, even if they're mesmerized, they still might be getting that buff.
Yes, and they did talk about a rabid disposition, which sounded really cool.
It did, and all animals...
That may spread across...
Yeah, all animals might
spread across animals. Like, it might have some disposition, and then it picks up a rabid disposition, and that kind of overrules.
Yeah.
I thought that was very cool. But, I mean, I agree with you. Yes, there are times that you want to do that, but I just wouldn't want... it seems tedious to me to, okay, you know, we've got this whole field we need to take on. Mm-hmm. Let's do it one at a time. I like the complexity. Let me say it this way. Mm-hmm. The complexity that comes with pulling 3 mobs, and they're grouped so you don't have a choice.
Right.
And you have to CC one, and the off tank has to pick one up, and you have to manage that.
Right.
You know, if it's okay, well, I could just tank one guy myself, and then it's tank and spank essentially.
Right.
You know, everything is tank and spank, and I don't want to. You know.
I got you.
I know I'm voicing a concern that's not. It's going to be more complex than that, so I'm not worried, but it's just that mentality.
Yep.
So all I'm commenting on.
So let's talk about the issue, and I think you have the same issue. It's the backflip, and the potential for a double backflip.
How many backflips can you do?
Right. Though thankfully they're going to limit that. Like they're going to have some sort of stacks that you know that you're like when you do a backflip you take 1 away, or if you do a double backflip you take 2 away, and maybe you only have, you said 3 or 4 or 5. You haven't figured out what that's going to be
per fight.
And then you have to be out of combat for that to regenerate. So, you know, that makes it a little better, but and I guess it's fantasy, and I have to remember that this is not like, you know, real combat, that, you know, where you would never think about doing a backflip in real combat. So, you know, I have to maybe just let this one go. It's part of it, and just accept it.
Suspend your disbelief.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, I think I kind of end the same way. I mean, you know, okay, so a monk is going to be an acrobatic fighting style. Mm-hmm. So I expect some acrobatics. Yeah. Okay. Sure, let one be a backflip, but I want to make sure that we're seeing roundhouse kicks, we're seeing Johnny Cage style. Mm-hmm. You know, there's got to be some acrobatic stuff in there. If it's going to be a backflip, it's going to be a backflip. But that one, a backflip to me seems so low hanging fruit, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, of all of the cool things that you could put together, this a backflip seems easy. Or an easy idea, you know what I'm saying? Right. So, but I want to make sure we're not disparaging anything.
No, we're not. It's just,
I really liked what I was seeing. Yeah. But we're just talking.
I thought that all in all, that the movements and all the the animations were good. I thought again, come a long way in the 6 months we've been doing this project, and I'm thrilled with kind of how things with things like the variety. I thought the monk had variety. I thought it had good options. You had you had a chance to put yourself at risk because you could do that burn, that chi burn. Yes. Where you're taking damage, but you're doing more damage, so that was kind of cool too.
The way that one worked, so you trigger chi burn, and it gives you all kinds of. Here's what it is: it's an additional attack speed, right. Critical hit, critical damage, everything's up, right? And it can't be canceled, so you have to think about, okay, I'm going to. Your health bar has to be high when you trigger it, because you burn your health and your chi.
Right.
And obviously, I'm sure the chi runs out faster than the health does, but the chi has to run out for it to stop. Right. So you obviously want high health, high chi to make it last.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I guess there's probably you just kind of know sooner or later. Okay, if I have half chi, here's how long that chi burn is going to last, kind of a thing. I'm sure you'll get to where you're well acquainted with it.
Yeah,
the risk associated with that is that you could chi burn and then take some big damage.
Yeah.
And you don't know. I mean, with the way that we have seen them coding things, with the whole workflow that we're talking about. I think 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
There may be something that's watching for something. If your health gets within 25%. Make a big hit on that person. Right, exactly.
Or if I detect chi burn occurring, then I'm going to do something. That's
monk killers, man. Yep. They're going to be out there, so that's going to be interesting to see the unintended consequences from the player base using chi burn in the wrong time.
Yeah, but the monk had everything. It had feign death. It had a speed burst, like a little sprint. It was almost more like a shadow step almost. Where like you're here and then all of a sudden you're like 15 yards ahead.
Wind.
Yeah, chase the wind.
Right.
It had like there was a range pull that did not require a weapon. Now that's different.
Spear.
That's different than other monks I've seen in MMOs, specifically EverQuest, where monks had to use like throwing stars. So to have something that doesn't require you to carry ammunition was cool. All in all, I thought that it was cool. The one thing we didn't talk about was the auto attack, like the variety of things that happen in the auto attack, like that you can. And
so they're passives. You have to have on your bar. That is novel to me. All right, okay, so you have to have a strike and a kick. Or you don't have to, okay, but if you want it, right? So you got the auto attack going, and there's a chance for a strike or a kick that happens over the duration of that order.
And the strike might be like an elbow or something like that.
Yes, and you get to pick as you go out into the world and acquire these skills. You may have a plethora of strikes, and it may be certain strikes are better in certain situations. So you put that on your bar. As long as the strike is on your bar, that's the strike it's going to be used. And the same thing with kick.
And it'll just randomly prop.
Specific. Yeah, there's a chance for it to happen. So I imagine it's on a timer in that auto attack.
Right.
That is novel to me. That to have passives as active skills.
Well, it's basically I guess you're making a choice to like, do I want this to happen in place of having access to another ability?
Right.
As opposed.
So there was one thing that Joppa mentioned as well. While we're on the subject of passives.
Okay.
That was incredible to me.
What's that?
They are thinking that there's a difference between innate, was the word he used. Innate, and think about like the racial, we've discussed this in a previous episode, right? The racial innate abilities that you have, just because, you may have a resistance to poison or something, right? That's what's innate, but that's not passive.
No.
Okay, so this is new to me. The idea that there's a pool of skills that you have that are all passive, and you decide which ones are active by which ones you put on your bar. That is a thing here. That was incredible to me. Okay, you may have 5 or 6 or 7 different passives, but depending on where you are, there's certain ones that you need to use, and you have to make a choice between them.
Right.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. And they haven't mentioned this, and I know you see you put it in the notes. Anything about monk equipment?
Monk equipment,
like gear.
Yeah. So okay. Let me come at it from this angle. Acquiring a look for your Barbie, right, is one thing every MMO person wants to do. They want to get the right look, get the right armor set, all that kind of thing, right? And that extends to weapons.
Right.
You get the right weapon, get the right, pole arm or the right sword or whatever. So the fact that the monk uses fist weapons, it was not something I was able to see readily, and I was hoping, I was looking. I don't know if they answered the question. Maybe they did, and one of our viewers can point it out to me, as they're apt to do.
Right.
But I would love to see like the monk having fist type weapons, brass knuckles, right, or claws, or something that would fit that kind of a combat style, but that isn't unarmed combat. So you have a choice. If you want to do unarmed combat, you can.
Right.
But you also are able to get and take advantage of weapon drops, craft weapons for the monk to use.
Yeah, I
wouldn't want to see the monk excluded from what I consider to be as a major aspect of MMO gaming, right?
Yeah, because you got the warrior walking around with his +3 sword of dragon slaying, and you have your fists. Like, that's a little emasculating or effeminating.
Right.
I'm
you
not
get a
even
ring,
sure
you know
if
what I'm
that's
saying?
a sexist term or not, but it'll make you down for sure.
Yeah.
I'd like to see. I agree. Some sort of hand wraps, brass knuckles, claws. Maybe even consider allowing them to use a quarterstaff.
Yeah.
Like that'd be as far as I would go, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's further than I would go, in all honesty. I think just, things that are local to your hands, maybe. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there are some weapons, from martial arts that I've seen that are, tonfa, for instance. I'll show you a
or
picture,
nunchuck.
We're talking about it. Yeah, that are distinctively more hand to hand, as opposed to like a sword or a, so.
Yeah. I thought that was all cool. I'm trying to think. There was some other stuff they talked about. Well, first of all, Nathan's patch note song.
Right.
He threw down the gauntlet, so to speak. So
he did.
So now we're pondering. So
yeah, maybe we'll do some terrible designs ourselves and submit them and see what happens. I love that it sparked this thing in the community.
Exactly.
One of the things I can tell about us is that we are excited about this because we are not moving from subject to subject. Typically, we have a very organized approach in the way we talk. We're all over the map.
There we are.
which is cool because it shows that we liked what we saw, in this live stream. So.
Exactly. So all in all, I like the monk, and I probably will. I don't think it'll change my main, but it might be like the first alt I play might be a monk.
Really?
Yeah.
It was that high. I don't think it will be for me.
Really? I totally see that in your wheelhouse, like a thinking man's class. Like I see that, like for you. Like
no. So a monk to me is more spiritual. They're not a thinker.
No,
right?
but
a monk is more of a spiritual.
Well, yes, from a role-playing standpoint, it's a spiritual personality. But I'm talking about from the actual, like from the player side, it's a thinking man's class.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. You have to. So not. I would disagree almost. It's tactical. It's very tactical because you've got to be in the moment, responding appropriately.
Right.
But it's not strategic, and I think strategic is I like the long game plan, right? So you kind of know, and the type of ones where you prepare for the fight before you go in, right? Spin up certain certain buffs, maintain them as you go. That tends to be more my bag than being up there and having to respond and interrupt at the appropriate time. And typically I've always kind of been a crafter or a what am I thinking? Crafter, a caster type, with the odd foray into melee.
Right.
So.
Okay.
This is, but I like weapons though. I think that's my thing with my beef, right? If we're talking about the meat and potatoes, that's the beef.
I gotcha.
With the monk is the unarmed, and that's kind of why I want to see some claws. I just think it needs some weapons. Optionally, I think you should be able to go hand to hand if you want. But Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that wraps up our coverage of the monk release of information. Let us know what you think about it. If you are going to main a monk, let us know. Like, do you want weapons? Do you not want weapons? Let us know.
Yeah.
We're interested to hear.
All right, everybody. So that wraps up our discussion about the monk. I am definitely looking forward to seeing this class and testing for sure. Just a reminder to everybody, live streaming over the next few days, the next month for sure. If you are interested in joining me, definitely drop by, say hello. I'd like to meet some of our folks, especially those of you that have tuned in from episode to episode. I'd like to get to know you. So twitch.tv/Sechari if you are interested. As I am testing our Ashes of Creation Alpha 1. Would love to get to know you.
Link will be in the description down below. Check us out on Facebook.com/Disparate Worlds, on Twitter @Disparate Worlds, and our website, disparateworlds.org. In addition, on our website and in the description is a link to our Discord. Please join us there.
Indeed. That's it for us this episode, guys. Thank you for watching as always. Always a pleasure to have you here. Do the thing. Drop the comment on down below. Do the like, the subscribe. Always appreciate you guys interacting with our video. Notification bell as well. That way you don't miss upcoming episodes. All of that said, take care of yourselves, friends. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Remember to be immovable in your principles and irresistible in your passion.